All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your critique. So, I'm going to be taking a look at the images that have been posted and give you a little feedback on them. All right, let's hop into Discord and we will start with the first one up. So, we've got the poker scene here. So, again, this was the initial reference. This poker scene from House of Games. So one of the questions I had was, one of the things about this octopus shot that I always question is like, okay, are we underwater or are we on land? Like it really helps to bend. So we got a little Joe Mantegna scene going down here. Again, we see lots of fog in the middle. It's kind of the tying point. All the framing is around this. You know, you got the characters on the left side of the table. On that side, this guy's on this side. We're filtering everything towards the middle. We got deep shadows and silhouettes in the background. The guy from Men in Black is floating around back there. And yeah, so let's take a look. So we just got main fog light there in the middle. So let's take a look at what we got. All right, cool. So we got the same scene, same type of light here in the middle. The one thing about this that I want to see is that the fog is there from this light, but the influence from the light being that direction isn't fully felt. And I'll tell you why. There's a little bit too much fill light in the foreground, so like I know we want to hit these cards and see them, but it's feeling a little bit too frontal in the lighting, and we're not getting any kind of shaping on there, and it's also like giving a false read of how much we want to see in the middle. The other thing that really draws my eye are the two portholes, the little windows, basically, because your eye, like when you kind of squint at the screen, your eye is drawn to anything of high contrast or color, like the hue difference. So everything about the kind of the foreground of the scene is warm. So these like semi bright blue windows really draw my eye back there. And the problem is once I get there, A, there's nothing to see, and B, it makes me notice the faceting on the sides of this window. So I would smooth that. I would take these down, and don't be afraid to put like if you want to make that a story point, like put something in a silhouette out there that could be part of your story if you want. But I always use that as an opportunity to kind of extend the world. Is if like you maybe it could even just be like the silhouette of a building or a tree or whatever, just to make the world feel a little bit bigger. But if you don't want people looking back there, we can tone it down. Um, Same thing with the background here. It's like if you want the background just to disappear, I would or like just to really recede back there, I would tone those down. Also, the fact that we're not really looking at my monitor here, I can see a little bit back there, but like we're not picking up really anything. I kind of see some pipes, but not too much. Um, don't be afraid. You're still in darkness. Don't be afraid to put a little reflection in there or something just to give it some life. Again, it's reflect. Like maybe something reflecting this whole scene, just to give it a little bit of life back there. Um, all right, so we got the light shining down in the middle of the table. It's gonna mostly bounce back up at them, but one of the things that I'm seeing is we got the light coming down here, but his face is really spotlit right there in the middle, and it's kind of flattening it out. So I would really kind of focus on the maybe get a little more top down shaping, like where it's brighter up here and darker as we go down there, or something just to kind of extend that shadow because the shadow. Um, I guess it is in front of him, but the shadow, it's kind of flattening him off. And if it is coming from that light, just fake it. Like just unlink that light to the face and put it a little bit more in a way that's going to provide some more shaping. And same thing with the eyes. Eyes feel a little bit flat. We've got a sharp shadow up here at the top. You never really want that. Again, even if it's technically accurate with the size of the radius of the light bulb, we still don't really want that too much. And then again, yeah, the fill light in the front just feels like a little bit too much, and I'm not getting any rim light from this. Like again, if it's hitting him that frontally in the face back here, you'd see like a little bit of rim light on the cards, or maybe definitely on the tentacles. But kind of tighten those up a little bit. And then for the fog, just I think it's okay. The one thing that I'm worried about, I would almost push it back behind this character a little bit more because the one thing that I'm worried about is it's taking down the contrast and kind of making the face of the character feel a little bit more murky. So I would just pull it off the face a little bit, like this rim light, like similar to that, but what we're getting for these cards, like that a lot. I feel like I had one more. You got top done. Oh, I know. Like up here, make the light source. If you're gonna creep the um, light source into the frame like that, you want there to be like a bright bulb central point up there, kind of leading the charge. So it's like, oh, this is the light source, like bright coming down, because it doesn't. I don't feel like that kind of heat, that intensity that would be lighting up the scene there. All right, Erica, here we go. Dim dye whites, bucking badge, cool, cool, cool. Okay, let's take a look at it. I think I have it. We'll just look at it here. Yeah, I got it up. Nope, I don't want to sign in. All right. So the one thing that stood out to me when I first watched this through was the consistency from the first shot to the second shot on the face. Um, kind of want to get into that. Also, um, yeah. So that was the first one. So if you look at the last frame of this shot, you'll see that the face on this side is pretty dark, but then when you cut to the next shot, it's much brighter. So you always want to when you've got two shots that you're working on together, you always want to tie them together because it doesn't need to be perfect, right? I'm not saying the lights have to be exactly in the same spot and like nothing changes, um, but you need some sort of consistency about it because otherwise it just feels like it pops to the audience. Um, look here, play through again. Overall shaping on the character at the end is pretty good. I really really like how the character emerges into the light, and I think that looking at this here, go here, we got the nice rim light on the character. I think so. Yeah, so I think you can go a little bit more fill light here and a little bit less here. I think you can meet in the middle and really allow this rim light should feel cooler because it feels pretty cool coming in here and outside, and the lighting and the color out here feels a little bit warm or a little bit cool. I mean, but the light itself feels a little warm. Again, same thing as the last critique. Feel free to put something outside the window to give it a little silhouette, a little life, maybe an object out there to make sure the world the world extends outside of there. These blinds are a little bit too bright. They kind of pulled my eye this way. It looked like something important entering the frame. So because if you walk it this way, walking, all of a sudden these enter, and you're like, oh wait, what's that? Oh, that's nothing. Same thing with this glowy red light. Unless it's a story point, I would tone it down because you really want the focus here. And then we want to hit some eye reflections in there, some eye dings. It also feels a little bit bright outside that room, maybe at the beginning. Tone that down a little bit. And then, just for like bonus point stuff, try to get a little specularity on the skin. If everything's feeling a little matte and dry, try to get some writing on the paper, like the fact that it's just like a blank set of pages feels a little just putting a little texture on top of just like whatever official legal form you've got. It could work there. All right, just one more time there. Yeah, you're doing an interesting job of getting the skin tone to go really cool to really warm in just this one shot. So cool stuff there. All right, great. Let's move on. All right, next up, we have Michael with the bribes. Okay, so just a quick look through the reference. Love this. Beautiful. Like Pixar is very good at what they do. Like, do you see all these like specular highlights um, in the depth of field, like with like the tight highlights, and even though that's out of focus, it's really nice. Like the glowy points here. Like this is the kind of stuff I see a lot of people missing. Is just like not being afraid to push the high values of when it's window light coming in, because you have the camera exposed for the interior, and the exterior light will really push it. And like, look at all these reflections. Again, we're not looking down here, but like, look how much life is in there. Thinking about the octopus shot, like same here. So lots of bounce light in on her. Just beautiful, beautiful shot. All right, cool. So let us take a look at the bribes. All right, here we go. Play it through once, I'll start giving some notes. Okay. So we got these horizontal streaks on the window. It doesn't feel like a window to me. Like, I've seen warble before, but it's usually more blobby than this. So just one thing. Her shirt, the saturation I would tone down. It's really, really poppy compared to everything else in the scene. You've got like really nice lighting and really nice color values going on in the background. Like, it's all kind of muted. But the purple really stands out to me as being a different color palette than the rest of the shot. I mean, you've done a good job of like popping that off of the character from the background, but it's just like a little bit strong. Um, Looking at the character lighting, it's good. I think the subsurface scattering might be a little bit too strong, but that might just be the look. Let's go back to this. And again, same thing. A lot of matte values. Wanting to see some specular highlights in the skin. Want to see uh, some skin has a lot of sheen to it, so a little bit of that, getting that in there would be very helpful. One thing's about phones that are you can it's a little bit of a push, a little bit of a stretch, but getting a little bit of light from her face onto the phone, the phone light onto her face, so there's a little bit of glow, there's a little bit more connection there. I'm not crazy about how dark this chair is. I'm fine with how dark the chair is when it enters, but it just feels like a dark blob. Like, one of the things that is cool is, this chair should be getting much more of this light on it at this point, and you can play up this idea of something bad approaching. It's like dark here, and it gets lighter as it gets closer, because you want to pull them together into the same lighting. Like, the light that's hitting his knuckles is not hitting the chair, and it might just be because it's too dark. But like, they don't. At no point this chair feels distant to him. It doesn't feel like it's actually going to hit him. The lighting on him. Let's see if watch when the blinds close. Looking at the lighting on him when the blinds close. It doesn't change. Like, I want that rim light to decrease when that goes down, because that's blocking that light. Like, it changes everywhere else, but not quite significantly enough on the character. Also, there's this cool light that's coming in. Like, here, it feels way too strong in his face. I would tone that down by like half, because it's just like, especially again, if we're it just feels like he's too far away from that window. I can kind of buy it on her. Um, yeah, I can kind of buy it, but it feels like there's two different lighting directions happening. Like, it feels like the sun's coming in from the side on this shot, and the sun's coming in from this way on this shot. So it's like, basically, if you're gonna have light rays come from the sun for the most part, like especially when they penetrate this deeply into the room. So, okay, this is what I think we should do. I think we should tone down this light, limit the light rays so it sticks just to the window. Yeah, and then make it more about that light coming in through that window, because that's really the storytelling one. And you've got that bright light kind of popping in as he opens up the door. I would just stick to that. All right, cool, nice one. All right, we got Tessa with a few shots here. All right, feeling better. Brighten up the vignette a bit. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so let me just do all three of these. Say so we got the Mr. Bean, and then we've got the nighttime. So we got daytime and nighttime on the alley. Let's start with the Bean. So one thing is about this character is you have to watch out for a few things. One is the kind of glassiness of the eyes. That one's always a little bit tricky. The specularity on the tie sometimes a little bit too high, but it doesn't seem too bad here. And then kind of the dustiness of the hair. You might need to increase the contrast of that. He also has some splotchiness on him, which is fine. It's just you got to watch out, especially around his mouth. It just becomes like a little bit like a splotch right there, and his lips might need a little tweak if you want. Just because I've never been crazy about the materials on those. It just feels a little pink, but that's all right. Okay. Um, Big thing on him. I like that it's kind of centered here. I want to see. Well, two things. One, the lighting on the foreground doesn't really match the background. The background feels very low contrast, and there's a lot of contrast going on here in the foreground. Um, so I would try and find a background that matches the lighting style a little bit better because I think it's actually works out pretty well for character. We got light coming in here, scraping across, going down there. Um, you want to put the dings on the same side as the key light coming in. I think the shaping is looking pretty good. I think he's getting too green in the fill. I would warm that up a little bit. Yeah, and then tighten the specularity on the hair. See if you can push some more specularity on the skin, especially on the key side. Got a little bit of rim creeping around there. The rim light feels a little neutral in color. It's feeling a little bit. Again, it just makes the top of his hair feel a little bit dusty. So just try and get some more contrast in there. And then his skin warmth is feeling a little bit too orange. I would just pull that back just a touch. And then yeah, his eye brightness, especially right here in the middle, feels a little bit blowing out, a little bit too bright. So try and pull that back as well. For the night and day scenes of the alley. All right, so remember in that Toy Story reference, we saw a lot of like reflections and specular highlights and stuff in the shadow areas. Try and get some of that because again, like let's see if it's true both of them. Like this one's got more of it here. You see a little bit more reflections in some of these places. Like you want to get because it just feels dry. Everything feels like it's there's a sandstorm blowing through, and you want to create some variation on your materials and your objects through reflections and through specular highlights, especially like stuff like this and the bars in the window and the windows itself and all that kind of stuff. In terms of the structure of the lighting, this turns it into a very kind of a 2D composition because all the lines are very horizontal. It's a very like vertical. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of angles in there, so it's not. It feels a little bit static. Where normally you'd want like more of an angled light coming through, because it's really like delivering the viewer's eye to this region, and there's just not that much of a payoff there. So I would you can try just give it a try. What about if you like angled the light a little bit more this way? And actually like that, and see if you can create a little more dynamism in the shot. And so maybe like the light actually creeps across here and actually kind of picks up some of this stuff. And then there's a little bit more of like a path that way, and then it could creep over the edge here, because I think it's feeling very still, compositionally. One thing also to watch out for is just check the texture map here. It feels like something's going on with, I guess this is maybe a stain, but it almost feels like a shadow. It feels like it's missing, like it might just need to be a little higher up. I'm not quite sure what happened there. That might be in the original one. We're just seeing it because we're getting more fill light in here than we normally do. But yeah, I would try that. So again, get the key light at more of an angle. So and then you're going to want to push some more bounce light up in here, and then try and get some more reflections in the fill areas, the areas not being hit by the key light as well. And then from here, from the last version, so I want to bring up Mason's here because I really like what Mason was able to accomplish here. So I'll just copy and paste it in here. All right. So do you see the how dark the dark values feel a little bit darker here, especially in the foreground? It's okay to let them lift up as you get away from camera, but if it's like universally lifted foggy, it just is less saturated or less contrasty than it should be. So I would push some more contrast in the foreground. Again, you got the brighter lights in there. I think, or that's really cool. That's matching up well. But like, look at the splotchiness on the ground, right? Like this level of variation in the brights and the highlights. I would try and match that too. Actually, we're kind of seeing it here too. There might be a problem with the base model, but it's just appearing with the base shaders, but it may just be because we see it more in that one shot. But do you see, like, yeah, the splotchiness, how it kind of fades in and out? It feels very natural here. This one, it just feels very specific to that one highlight. So it's totally fine to just, like, off camera, put some white planes just to create some more reflections in this stuff. You can see a little bit of reflection picking up there in this plant. That's nice. We just want to see some more of that. This feels very dead. Like with the light right above it, you'd expect there to be more of this light impacting this and this. It's funny. It's actually impacting this more than that. And this I feel like should be less, and that I feel like should be more. Tone down this reflection because it's just kind of a weird angle. And see if you can get some more variation on this light top down, because it just feels like it's kind of hitting this a little bit uniformly. And I'd like to see it'll be a little bit darker up here to kind of keep our eye from stretching up. This is kind of an interesting one. Some very bright magenta little spots in there. Just try and tone those down. You can do that in the comp. And then, if you're going to have this level of brightness here, you're going to want to see some shadows from these guys down in here. All right, cool. That is all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video critique, and I will be back with you later this week. All right, enjoy yourselves. Happy lighting, everybody.